Okay, how are you guys? Everybody good? Yes. Awesome to see you. My name is Riccardo, and I met all of you guys, and I'm going to try to remember all your names. Amber Rose. What is it? Isn't that a famous girl? Yeah. So, Kim Kardashian's back there. Anyway, so, hi. So here's what I'm going to do. So actually, this brings back insane memories. I might get choked up, actually, telling you this. But I was in this school like 43 years ago. Isn't that crazy? It hasn't changed. Exactly the same. It's time to remodel.
Sponsor us.
But so I'm going to tell you a little story, sort of how I got from where I was at to where I'm at now, and came through this place. Can I do that for you?
Yes.
It's actually, when I see speakers and platform artists, hairdressers that share their information, I love to watch that information being shared. But honestly, one of the things I like even more is I like to hear the story of the person. How did it happen? What did you know? How did you get from A to B to Z? Because that kind of stuff I can also use. You know what I mean? I'm going to share with you my techniques, the way that I cut hair, and but in the process, I'm also going to talk a little bit about like the journey that I came on, because they're both important, like equally important. So this is kind of the way that it happened for me. So I was 20 years old. I grew up in the East Valley in Toluca Lake, and I was playing basketball. That's the only thing that I really felt that I was good at, and I wanted to be a professional basketball player. But if you take a look at me, you can see that I'm immediately working against gravity, right? So, you know, for the NBA, I'm a very small person, and I can jump very high, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to really get into the pros unless you're so exceptional and or very large and also exceptional. So, but I was playing at Pierce. I played 2 years there, and then actually when I walked out of my last practice from basketball, my last game was over at basketball for Pierce. There were guys outside. They didn't look like the basketball players. They had long, straggly hair, and they were all tan. And it was the volleyball team. And they said, "Hey, they said, you guys can jump. Have you ever played volleyball? We need a few guys on our volleyball team." This is the actual college volleyball team. I said, "I've never played volleyball, but yeah, I'm game, you know." So they said, "Cool." So they put me on the volleyball team, and within literally like 6 days, I was in a college volleyball game. The ball was coming so fast I couldn't see it. It was hitting me in the head. Pretty soon, though, I did learn how to play, and then I went on to actually play competitive beach volleyball as well. And so I've been an athlete my whole life. That was the main focus when I was young. I come from a family of 3 brothers, and we all played sports. And so there I was playing basketball and volleyball, and then I just, you know, I said, I got to do something. I don't know what I'm going to do. I could keep going to college. I had a few colleges in mind that I wanted to go to, but in reality, I was always thinking there's really nothing in college that really interested me. Certain things, but nothing that I felt would be right for my lifestyle. And on top of the athletics that I always played, I was always very artistic too. I love to create. I love to build things. I love to draw. I'm a sculptor, so I would do all that. And so I was thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. And a lot of people would tell me all the time that they would say to me, "Riccardo, you should become a professional hairdresser." As random as that is, and I would say, I'll never be a professional hairdresser. And they would say, Well, the reason is because when I was 14 years old, I started cutting hair. And I started cutting hair probably like a lot of you guys started cutting hair, on your own hair, correct? Because that's the first head you're the first person that will let you cut your hair. Right? So I would cut my hair. It was really funny. This is like in the 70s. And in the 70s, we had these, we wore these like really round, cool fros. And my hair's curly. And so I would get this like awesome fro going and I would cut it. And then I started to learn angles. You know, if I pull it up and cut it here, it will fall in this angle. And then from there, I said to my brothers, hey, look, can I cut your hair? And then my friends. And so pretty soon I was like cutting everybody's hair at 14, 15 years old. It was like my hobby. And so everybody would always say, Riccardo, you should become a professional hairdresser. You have a knack for this, you know. And then I would always say, like I said, I will never be a hairdresser. And they would say, why? And the first thing I would say is, I'm not gay. And then the second thing I would say, and you also don't know my dad, because if I became a hairdresser, he would kill me. And so I'm from a very strict Italian family. I'm half Italian, half Irish. And so my dad is an immigrant. He came over from Italy, and he's a very successful man and made himself successful by being educated. And so every day of my life, literally, he would tell me, Riccardo, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. He drilled it in my head. Anybody have parents like that here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, and every single time he would say that I had to do that, what would go in my mind, I would never back talk to him, but I would say, no, Dad, I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be an artist. That's what I would always say to myself. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to be an artist in some way. And so there I was at the school, and I thought, I'm going to go over and check out the hair department over there. I'm just going to go look at it. You know, I have no idea. I've never even been in a salon in my life. I've never entered a salon. So I had no idea what the industry was like at all. But I walked in here, and the first thing I noticed, there they are, those freaking doll heads. They scared the shit out of me. I was like, what is going on, right? So then up walks this guy. He's a very famous teacher that used to work here. His name was Mr. Nugent. And this guy was classic. He would come in, and he would, we were working in here, and all of a sudden he would come in, like his head would come around, and he would wear these aviator shades. Did you have Mr.
Yeah, big glasses.
And he would scare us to death. He'd just be there like, you start shaking, you know. And so he came up, and I said, I'm just looking around, thinking about maybe going here. And he said, well, you know, son, if you want to go here, we have a waiting list, and you can get on the waiting list. It'll take about 2 years to call you up. Is there still a waiting list like that down here?
Not 2 years.
Not 2 years? So I said, oh, I can't wait 2 years. You know, I got to start with my life somehow. And so I was walking out, and I was walking out, and I was kind of thinking, oh, this probably wouldn't be for me anyway. I'll just go back to school and make my dad happy. And he said, hold on a second, though. He says, come over here. Come back. He went in the office, and he went out, and he grabbed a piece of paper, almost like a registration. And he said, if you want to start tomorrow, I have one spot open for tomorrow. Hand me the paper. So there I was. I hadn't really even contemplated doing hair, really, I swear, more than like an hour. And I was in the building, and it was right there, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I'm a big believer, I know probably you guys are too, but I'm a big believer in things happen for reasons, you know. There's reasons that things happen sometimes. And so I thought, this is too coincidental, it's too, I'm going to do it, you know. And so he literally gave me this piece of paper and said, these are all the things that you need to have. I went down to this beauty supply, bought them all. I was in the school literally the next morning, just like this. There was at least 100 students in the school. It was packed. And we were in theory, and all of a sudden I was like so freaked out. What am I doing here, you know? All of a sudden I looked around. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing here. Why didn't I think of this shit before? Right? There was 99 girls in one book. I was like, are you kidding me? I hadn't even thought of that. Right? So, I do love women very much. And my love of women comes from my mother. She was the greatest person I've ever known in my life. And she was my buddy, my confidant, my consigliere. She was awesome. And so I do get along quite well with women. I get along very well with women. I like, you know, gossiping and talking shit in the salon just as much as anybody. Can I cuss in here, or do you have a jar? Do you have a cuss jar? So, anyway, I thought this is going to be great. And so there I was in the school. And just like everybody else, just like you guys, you know. And so I remember when I was just finishing freshman. How many freshmen? Let me see the freshmen right now.
Level 1, yeah.
Level 1. We used to be called freshmen.
Right.
They actually would call us fresh meat. But so level 1, I remember doing my hair, like my exit haircut. It was all blending, and the layers were. I was like, damn, you know, I can't believe I just did that. And that's when I thought to myself, and I've had this thought for my whole life ever since that day. And the thought was, oh my God, I just found my thing. This is my thing. You know what I'm saying? You know how awesome that is when you actually find your thing? There's so many people in this world that have never found something that they're passionate about, or something they know that they're going to be good at, or that they really want to do with every like fiber in their body. And I said, this is what God put me on the earth to do. And I wasn't good at that point, but I was like so like enthusiastic about the future. And so I said to myself, okay, if this is what God put me on the earth to do, I'm going to never take like this gift that He gives me, I'm going to never take it for granted. I'm going to work my ass off to be the best person I can be and the best hairdresser. So right there that day, I literally set a goal for myself that someday I would become the best hairdresser in the world. And that's kind of a crazy goal, because how do you become the, you know, this, somebody says you're the best hairdresser in the world. So that was my goal. And so that's been my goal every day for 43 years. Just as a matter of fact, in the year 2002, L'Oreal voted me the best hairdresser in the world.